Our theme for today is Wisdom Applied. This is our series on Solomon, part 5, from 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 28. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had rendered. And they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. Now that is the last verse in this chapter. And that's the result of all the things that transpired explaining in this chapter. Now Solomon, we know, had already asked God for wisdom to administer justice among the people. But in this chapter explains what happened with two women who were actually harlots. Each of them got pregnant. They both lived in a house, just the two of them. Well, the first woman had her child, and 3 days later, the second woman had her child. But one evening, as they were in bed, the second woman's child died. So she decided to take the live baby from the first woman and sleep with that child. So when the morning came, the first woman thought, "What happened to my child?" And they started arguing back and forth about whose child it was. So that argument continued so much that they went to King Solomon to let him make the decision. He watched their argument back and forth. "It's my child." But King Solomon finally said, "Bring me the live child." And so he took his sword out as though he was going to cut the baby in half and give half to each woman. Now that makes sense, doesn't it, to solve that predicament? Well, the woman who stole the baby said, "Sure, cut it in half. That's a great idea." But the woman who lost her baby, the one that's still alive, she said, "Please don't kill that baby. Go ahead and give it to the other woman." So the king knew she had the attitude of a real mother, and he gave her her live baby back. Well, all the people were impressed with Solomon's wisdom. So this last verse explains how Solomon gained all of that wisdom to administer justice among the people. So where did his wisdom come from? Well, of course, it came from God. What about you? Where do most people get their wisdom? Well, they go to the library and learn themselves, or they get on the internet, different websites, and try to find answers. Well, that's only partial wisdom. You can't get 100% wisdom from all of those resources. People need to look in God's Word and ask God to give us the wisdom. You can find wisdom to live a successful life if you apply God's Word to every situation in your life. It'll help you to know what's right and what's wrong, and then you'll be able to make right decisions. Come back tomorrow for more stories from King Solomon's life.